So while everyone is excited about the next generation Nintendo system or the Nintendo Switch 2, today we're going to be talking about a forgotten Wii U game that many fans have been desperately asking for to get some type of re-release finally coming for Nintendo's next generation platform. And the game I'm talking about is Xenoblade Chronicles X, which came out on the Wii U way back in 2015, and this is honestly considered to be one of the coolest open world games of all time. You can pretty much have a ton of different party members to roam around, you have these special mechs that you can fly around, and there's a lot of verticality with the world. It's just a giant open world to explore in, and the developers behind it, Monolithsoft, actually aid Nintendo in a lot of their other big adventure games that have come out on the Nintendo Switch, like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, to the point where a lot of people even say that Xenoblade X really kind of just paved the path for the development of open world games to then be used for those future Zelda titles. And so next year in 2025, this game will officially turn a decade old, and for all this time, the only way to officially experience it has still been to get it for the Wii U, as the game has been stuck on that platform. And now with the Wii U eShops and everything closing as well, it's become very difficult to get your hands on this game, which is why people have really been asking for it to get some type of re-release on the Nintendo Switch or any type of port or anything, as pretty much every other major Wii U game, whether it was Captain Toad or even Tokyo Mirage Sessions, 3D World, Mario Kart, everything else has been ported over to the Switch in some way, but Xenoblade X, along with like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD, which I still feel like those are going to come at some point, Xenoblade X has kind of just been stuck on the Wii U for a really long time. And of course, in 2015, Xenoblade was still considered to be a very niche franchise, as this was before 2017 with Xenoblade 2 coming out and really giving that spike in terms of its popularity to kind of it being more wide known as it is now, as pretty much Xenoblade releases now can get around 2 million or so sales with Xenoblade Definitive Edition, Xenoblade 2, and Xenoblade 3. Xenoblade X, if we take a look at its sale estimates, it didn't even manage to sell 1 million coming out on the Wii U, which was already one of Nintendo's worst selling systems of all time, so it definitely needs a lot more love out there, and this is easily the Xenoblade game that myself and a lot of other people just never got the chance to experience, as they didn't get it for the Wii U or they never owned a Wii U. So honestly, getting another chance for a game like this, as from the people that I have heard things about with Xenoblade X, they've all said that it is a really cool game and it's a really amazing open world experience. Giving this game another chance on a brand new Nintendo system with the Nintendo Switch 2 would be amazing, and it seems like this might actually have a chance of happening. Alright, so if we take a look at the article that just came out, it says here, Nintendo Insider leaks Switch 2 remake of a forgotten Wii U game. According to a new Nintendo rumor, a forgotten Wii U exclusive game is being brought forward to modernity with a remake on Nintendo Switch 2, the rumored Switch successor supposedly releasing this year. The rumor in question comes the way of Zippo, a well-known Nintendo insider who has both been proven reputable in the past and has been off the mark as well. That said, this rumor seems far too random to be pulled out of thin air. According to the insider, a full remake is in the works for Xenoblade Chronicles X at Monolith Productions, the studio responsible for the series. Unfortunately, Zippo does not divulge much else about the project other than it noting it being one of the numerous titles in development at the studio for the next Nintendo console. A reveal window is not disclosed, nor is a potential release window. And so his official quote right here was, "I'm hearing from sources familiar with the situation that Monolithsoft is developing a full remake of their underrated Wii U title, Xenoblade Chronicles X. Released in 2015, this title came at a time where the Wii U was already unfortunately winding down after 2 consecutive years of poor sales, so many missed out on the game, including myself. From all accounts, the game is excellent and is in actuality the first Nintendo game in modern day to go open world, even before Breath of the Wild. Monolith has numerous titles in development for Nintendo's next-gen system, and this is just scratching the surface of that. Of course, what is here should be taken with a grain of salt. Even if this information is accurate, it doesn't mean that it will remain accurate over time. Things change in game development all the time, and projects are somewhat often canned before they are even announced. At the time of publishing, neither implicated party, Nintendo and Monolith Productions, have commented on this rumor and the speculation it has created. We do not expect this to change for a handful of reasons, but if it does, we will be sure to update the story accordingly. Alright, so that is pretty much the rumor that we have right now. Apparently, the Nintendo insider Zippo is saying that there's going to be some type of Xenoblade X remake coming out for the next Nintendo system, being the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, like the article mentions, if you don't know Zippo, he's kind of hit or miss when it comes to Nintendo leaks and rumors, as there's definitely been instances where he's gotten stuff correct, and really the most notable one that comes to my mind is he leaked the 2D Metroid game which came out in 2021, but the very interesting thing about this was he said that the title for this game was going to make people very happy, and we didn't really know exactly what he meant by that, but it turned out to be Metroid Dread, which was actually a game that was supposed to be teased and coming out for the Nintendo DS way back in 2006, so that's why a lot of people were very happy to see this game 15 years later still become real on the Nintendo Switch. So it was actually true. And most recently, he also talked about the 2D Mario game with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which also ended up being true as well. But there's also been a handful of things that Zippo has leaked which have just never turned out to be true at all, or have just been blatantly incorrect. So you should definitely take the things that he does say with a grain of salt, as he's not considered to be one of the most accurate Nintendo insiders that we have. If this was coming out from somebody like Nate the Hate, who's definitely been much more correct, it would definitely be much more exciting. But even regardless of this being a Zippo rumor, I feel like the idea of something Xenoblade X related isn't really too far out of the realm of possibility to happen on the next Nintendo system. From pretty much 95% of the people that I've talked to who have played Xenoblade X, all of them talk about it being a really amazing game for the scope that it has, of it just being a huge open fantasy world that you can explore in all directions, ride around in these really cool mechs, and have all of these really cool characters and side quests and things to do. There's even an online mode as well, and to just have an amazing game and as huge as this just get swept under the rug and forgotten about would seem really stupid, and especially with how Xenoblade has grown so much after Xenoblade Definitive Edition, Xenoblade 2, and Xenoblade 3, bringing Xenoblade X back on a new Nintendo system would honestly be the perfect decision for them to do. And I also know that there's people who want a Xenoblade X sequel, as apparently the game ends on a really big cliffhanger and it's setting up for something else, but with how so few people got to play the original Xenoblade X to begin with, a lot of people like myself don't even know what that cliffhanger is. And so honestly, it makes a lot of sense now for them to remake Xenoblade X and have it come out on the next Nintendo system as a very early title for people to play that game, as for a lot of people, it's just going to be considered a brand new Xenoblade game because they never played the original Xenoblade X to begin with. And that's why it makes more sense to kind of do that, I guess, instead of like Xenoblade 2, which was a brand new game, which was also a sequel that came out on the Nintendo Switch during its launch year. As for Xenoblade 1, there was still a couple of ways for people to play that before Xenoblade 2. Xenoblade 1 was available on the Wii, there was a new Nintendo 3DS version, and then it also got re-released on the Wii U eShop, so there was still a handful of ways for people to play that game before Xenoblade 2. With Xenoblade X's case, it was only available on the Wii U, which was already a system that sold really horribly, and Xenoblade was still very niche at the time, so not a lot of people even got to play it. So honestly, it makes a lot more sense now to remake Xenoblade X and then have that be available on the Switch too, as it's basically just going to be a brand new game for so many people. And then lastly, I just want to talk about how the article mentions this game being a remake, as I don't think that this means that there's going to be a full-blown remake of Xenoblade X from the ground up, from scratch, where they recreate every asset and they remake the entire game from nothing, all for the Nintendo Switch 2 or Nintendo's next platform, but instead I feel like this is probably going to be a semi-remake like what they did with Xenoblade 1 with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. And so with that, I'm expecting a handful of quality of life changes to make the gameplay easier, maybe some remastered music, things like that, as because the game came out on the Wii U, it was already an HD system, so the assets and things that they're using for the game are probably still high-res enough to just be able to kind of tweak them and make them better for the Nintendo Switch 2, as unlike the Wii version of Xenoblade 1, which was in 480p, there was definitely much more work that needed to be done to bring that game into HD for the Nintendo Switch version. Xenoblade X was already a beautiful looking Wii U game, so it would honestly be very expensive for them to do a full-blown remake where they recreate every single asset and everything for the Nintendo Switch 2, so I'm definitely not expecting that. I feel like it would be pretty silly for them to do that, so instead there's probably going to be some graphics upgrades and tweaks and things like that too, as the next Nintendo system is supposedly going to be a pretty impressive power leap from the Nintendo Switch, so maybe they could even get this game running in 60 FPS, which would be insane, but just having some like DLSS upscaling to maybe be able to increase its resolution to 1440p or even 4K, that would just be really amazing. Really, the biggest thing that I hope to see from this is an overhaul of the UI, as just the entire menus and all the stuff that they have going on here seems very too confusing, and also the text that they use for this is so small to the point where you have to sit really closely to your TV or your monitor to be able to read everything, so I definitely want to see them do like a complete overhaul of the UI to make it much easier to select things and being able to move around and have different things displayed when you're playing through the actual game and also in the combat, so that's definitely one thing that I'm sure they're going to do, as they did that with Xenoblade 1 also. also. And then also just a little bit of wishful thinking to get you excited, maybe they're also going to have some type of extra new content that wasn't inside of the original Xenoblade X, like what they did with Future Connected inside of Xenoblade 1, as that was like a little mini epilogue that they had, which also set up Xenoblade 3, so what if they could do that with kind of what happens after the ending of Xenoblade X, or just some extra type of new content, which is going to set up a Xenoblade X sequel. But yeah, with all of that, there you go guys, that is pretty much all the information that we have right now about Xenoblade X potentially getting a remake on the next Nintendo system. Even regardless of this rumor, I still feel like the possibility of something Xenoblade X related happening very soon is pretty likely, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel as well, as I'm definitely gonna have some more Xenoblade videos, so definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think about this. Are you guys believing this rumor? Do you think that something is going to happen with Xenoblade X on the Nintendo Switch 2? Do you want something like this to happen? Do you still think that something is going to happen regardless? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. But if you don't have anything to say about this, just comment your favorite emoji for some engagement. I would really appreciate it. Go follow me on Twitter at @Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.